The guest, before I give the theme introduction, somebody has a mic to carry. Anybody, journalist, would like to ask some questions before I do the theme introduction? Anybody? Any questions from the journalists?
What kind of challenges as a traditional newspaper you are facing from digital natives who are not reading newspapers at all? That is one question, sir. Second question is, what kind of challenges you are facing from standalone individuals who are starting their own channels, YouTube channels and otherwise Twitters, and they are becoming more popular than many of the traditional newspapers? What kind of challenges you are facing there?
We face in digital natives or the touchscreen generation, what we term it as. They're not reading print newspapers. But I think we had hours and hours of discussions, and we must have read reams and reams about whether it is print or digital or TV, and whether print will survive or not. Let us not go into that. But it is a fact that the reading of newspapers is coming down, especially among the digital youth. So the challenges as a media practitioner and heading a newsroom which is fully digital, along with being print editions, the biggest challenge I face is the changing the orientation of the newsroom professionals in getting tuned to the digital reality. Despite having, mine is a youngest newspaper. I worked in the Hindu for 23 years and then launched this newspaper called Telangana Today in Hyderabad. It has got a distinct advantage of being a youngest newsroom, let us say, in the state, where right from the word grow we were focusing more on the digital content. But even then, the problem is changing that orientation of the reporting staff, the content generation team, to keep digital first as a priority. Especially when the digital natives, the youngsters who are born after the digital revolution. We have seen analog, and you guys are seeing the digital only. So when we find that they are not reading the newspapers, we have to shift our focus, and we have not been able to, let us say, 100% successful. But mine being a young, newsroom, we are slightly ahead of the other, print operation organizations. Coming to the individual channels, people starting, yes, this is a cause of concern, definitely. But the individual channels on YouTube or news dissemination websites, they have the inherent problem of having the talented newsroom professionals for gathering that information. For example, if I have come across a girl who is an Instagram influencer, it seems. An Instagram influencer, I was very surprised to know that earns about 2 lakh rupees per month on an average. All she does is sit at home or go to some hotel or any other public place and give a blog sort of a thing and narrate something before the camera, and monetization of that content is getting her about 2 lakh rupees per month, which a salary which we could have never imagined when we were 24 years. We started with thousands. But now it is different. But the problem is, this independent channel owner may be earning some money, but they will not have all this wherewithal and experience for gathering news, verifying the news, and coming out with the ratified and verified news. So that is a distinct disadvantage they have if they are starting a news channel. But individual channels on fashion, on food, or on civic conditions and so on and so forth, what we see on Insta and Facebook Reels and YouTube Reels, YouTube Shorts, sorry. All these things can be done, but they will be only segmented in their coverage. For example, if I have a Facebook channel, I talk about the road conditions in Cyberabad. Perhaps it will be very limited to that extent of capturing some images and some images and putting it. But I will not have the advantage of projecting a 360-degree view of the problem of, let us say, traffic management in Cyberabad area. What exactly are the challenges for the law enforcement agencies? What exactly are the problems for the individual citizens? And how I talked about tapping into the social, the cognitive surplus of the society. How we can take help of the society in managing these things. All these things an individual YouTube channel owner cannot do. Only a full-fledged newsroom can do that thing. But how many in the few full-fledged newsroom do that is a different question. But I think I have answered two of your questions.
No, I think it's a interesting question, but what I said in my presentation, there is generally a trend towards perception creation than news. Okay, so in traditional newspapers, the news and views are getting telescoped into each other, and then the end product gets into a situation where there is a lot of opinion, and the news per se gets editorialized. This is because of the challenge all of you are posing, YouTube, Twitter, all of them. So we need to get into a stage where we give you wholesome news at the fastest rate. But the issue on becoming fictionalized, I think, is a bit simplistic, because the style of writing in the newspapers are also changing. Now we are in the era of getting into storytelling. We are getting into writing in a narrative style. So therefore what is happening is, to catch attention of the reader or eyeballs or views, the way this news is presented is more readable and interesting. Now in that, if some people make it a bit dramatic, you might call it fiction, but I don't think it has reached a stage where journalists have become good fiction writers. If that was the case, I would be earning lot more money than this. So I think it is not fictionalized, but it has become a bit opinionated, or a style of writing which looks like a story. And one of the biggest problems with mainstream journalists today is we have fallen in the trap of what is called this storytelling or narrative style of social media. Now I write on social media, I write in mainstream newspaper. So my style is completely different. So the way I write on Facebook is more storytelling. And some of my friends think I'm a good writer now compared to what I was doing in the Hindu and Business Line. Okay, but I'm not writing fiction. I'm writing the same thing in a more readable and more attractive fashion. So the packaging is changing. So I don't agree that it is fictionalized. And the second thing that perhaps readers might be seeing is the topics chosen are more, I think, in the realm of trivia or more of exciting things that titillate or are very interesting, as Stephen Ravindra Garu has said. When you open that YouTube channel, this star, what has he given as a gift? So the headlines or the lead perhaps could be covering stories of people or interesting incidents which look like fiction, but I do not agree that we have gone into fiction still.
Sir, I have a question for CP sir.
Mike, please, Mike.
A toolkit. At the end of the day, you will have a set of tools on which you can first work on, try to in fact, do a reverse image search or reverse video search or reverse content search to know to what extent this particular content is true or false. That is number one. Second one is with respect to the SOPs. Just recently, on April 6th, there was an amendment to the intermediary rules where the government of India said that mandatorily the intermediaries, that is the social media platforms like Twitter or Facebook or whatever, they need to have a FCU, what is called as fact checking unit, before they publish any news and all that. So this is the second one. Third one is with regard to SOPs. Yes, there are no SOPs, but we are in the process of framing an SOP, and this is the reason why all of us have converged here in this workshop. We would like to know your views on how the SOPs properly should be, framed. We have a diverse, group of audience here, law enforcement officers, the digital and the journalists from the digital media and also from the mainstream. We also have, experts here. So yes, definitely we'll work towards this, and we think that such like this workshop should also happen in other commissioners, other areas, and other districts also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, my name is Khan. My question is,
see, this is a very tricky kind of a situation, because here we are getting into a domain of something called as freedom of expression versus the what do you call as civil liberties. Yeah, civil liberties and freedom of expression. So each and every one of you have your own view on this. Some people feel that the social media, anybody and everyone can express his opinion and perception, which they are otherwise not being able to do in the mainstream media. So yes, this is a very contentious issue which needs to be very finely and delicately handled. Yes, as of now, there are no set guidelines as to how a person should register himself as a social media or a YouTube journalist and all that. So yes, they're still yet to be formed. We will work towards that with the INPR department.
Yeah.
Sir, hello, sir.
I think just to add, the union government has already framed certain guidelines for social media, OTT platforms, and digital media. I think they are under debate. But as all of us with my 40 years experience, what I sincerely urge is we should be responsible. We have certain privileges under section 19(1)(a). All citizens can communicate. Therefore, the onus is on us to become more responsible and follow certain ethics and guidelines. So over a period, I think if you see, only the best will survive, the rest will go. So we are in a shake-up period, and we need to look at this more seriously. And like the Press Council of India, the digital media also, I think will definitely have a forum where they will evolve their own guidelines and get all of us into that ambit. The government can, do its own, guidelines or whatever to have a better relationship in ensuring communication is in the best interest of everybody, both the professional and society.
Sir.
it is not working or working, that is different. But if you pass the
So we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We'll have a system for all of you to make sure that the news is validated and verified. We'll think about it definitely. Because already there are a lot of these tools which are available in the open source. which we can, use and validate or verify our information. Okay. With regard to your question, I think Kalmesh would,
Yes, sir.
our DCP crimes would be the apt person to respond.
Sir, to take down the content under the IT Act, there are some intermediary guidelines which were issued in the year 2021. So there are two sections as per that. Section 79, under that, the contents can be taken down by bringing it to the notice of the law enforcement agency. We can, there are the guidelines categorizes about 8 different types of situations under which the contents can be taken down. Definitely the situation which you referred is one of them. Apart from that, also the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, they are also authorized to issue notices for taking down under Section 69. So either it can be reported to them or to the law enforcement agencies. Apart from these two, as per the law, also the policies of most of these intermediaries, they also have, you can go through their, some of their takedown policies which will be available in their websites. So if we are able to bring to their notice as to how it is going to lead to a public disorder or it's going to go to an aggravated situation, if we are able to bring it to their notice, definitely even citizens can report, they'll verify and take it down.
Using it, people are, using it in the right spirit. The way we converse, connect and collaborate has changed. I have a daughter who is first a master's in architecture, but I have a son who calls me morning, hey bro. So the way we communicate, everything has completely changed. The whole dynamics have changed. We from civil society, if you try to do something, then we get some objections from the other side. So anyway, so there are a lot of meaningful conversations, as I said. In this, we will have a wonderful speech by Rakesh Dubudu. So he is the founder of Factly. He is an NIT Warangal product. He is the first man actually to speak on RTI. So he runs an organization called Factly, where he does fact check.